Hello, my brothers and sisters, my esteemed colleagues. Today, we are going to touch on diet. Why touch? Because to really discuss diet, we need a seminar of several days. So here, I'm going to try to show things in slightly different ways so we start understanding where we are wrong. First, we have to understand one thing, that everything that comes from books, all the science, is not only wrong, but purposefully geared in a way so we misunderstand it. So this way we cannot advance. And this is more noticeable in our health. Doctors are completely misled through the science that they learn in medical school. They don't even know much about diet. Veterinarians know much more because, again, this is to get the animals going so they can quicker bring them to slaughter. Fortunately, I was schooled as a veterinarian, even though later I went strictly into research in medicine in general. But this knowledge of a variety of digestive systems then later on helped me to open my eyes. Number one, what I'm going to talk about you will not find in the books, so don't even bother. And many times people ask me, okay, so show me some studies. Well, number one, studies are bogus. They are all adjusted to the result that they want to achieve. So forget about studies. And secondly, again, everything we know is based on he said, she said. So when we start talking about diet and I say, well, we should not be eating carbohydrates. Well, my grandfather and his grandmother and their grandmother, and here we go, they all ate carbohydrates. This is true. And this comes down to 6,000 years ago when, as the Bible says, Adam and Eve were expelled from Eden because they ate the forbidden fruit. Now the forbidden fruit was served by Eve to Adam. So this is how it goes. Why? Because you cannot just pick it, you have to prepare it. And this forbidden fruit is dietary glucose. Why dietary? Because glucose is everywhere in nature. You look at a plant, you are looking at carbohydrate, you are looking at sugar. Everything about plant is sugar in different bonds, different relationship. Most of them are carbohydrates, which is complex sugars, different types of sugars together. But as a basic sugars, you have glucose and fructose. Sucrose is, for example, dextrose, a mixture of those two. Now, what is glucose? Glucose is starch. Glucose is a sugar that is not sweet. If you have a scale of sweetness from 1 to 10, fructose will be number 8, very sweet. Glucose will be 1, not sweet at all. So you are eating potato, you are eating bread, you are eating pasta, you are eating rice, and you claim you never eat sugar. Well, those are starches. This is pure sugar. Not only that it is pure sugar, but it is the worst possible sugar as animal body is concerned. Why? Because animals and humans alike, we do produce glucose and we use it as a booster fuel. What does that mean is that we have two fuels. We have a primary fuel and then we have secondary or boosting fuel, which is only available in special stress situations when our life is in stake. When that happens, steroid is being secreted, it breaks down the glycogen, which then releases glucose, which becomes available as energy source. If that is not the case, in normal day-to-day operations, no animal is using glucose, and neither should human. Why I say should? Because we do. We accepted glucose as our primary fuel. And this creates a huge reprogramming. And of course, we are told in medical school that human body has more than 2,000 genetic errors, which animals don't. Well, where does that come from? Glucose. Animals, they have very strong immune system. Years ago, there was this special news came out. Sharks produce antibiotic because they never get sick. They can lose a fin or they can be severely injured. And even in a water full with bacteria and dirt, they can recover. They don't get infection. So they produce some antibiotic. Naturally, we have to research it. So give us some money for this research. Well, then that died down. Then, a year ago or so, there was this new special report. Wow, we discovered that deep sea sponges produce this strong antibiotic. They never get infected. They never get diseased. We have to get those and make a research. Give us money for research. Well, why don't we collect money for research for every animal that is on the ground? Because basically you can see on YouTube cases in Africa where antelope, let's say, or zebra gets attacked by lion, and lion rips a muscle of zebra, but she manages to escape, survive, and this part of muscle with the skin is hanging around, gaping wound. Flies start coming in, and zebra shakes off a little bit the stress, starts eating, later on rolls in a dust, and all this gets dirty. But if they monitor, if they follow the zebra for a few weeks, they notice that zebra heals, and all it remains is scar tissue, nothing more. As you may have a blister on your heel, and if you puncture it with a needle that is not clean, you can get sepsis and you can die. Okay, our system, not that it doesn't work well, it does not work, period. So, why is this happening? Well, if we look, just observation, if we look at animal world, what do they eat? They eat what I call the food of God. As they find it, this way they eat it. What do humans do? Well, we start cooking and preparing our food. So, if we look at it from a quantum point, everything that is creation has frequency of creation. So those are all good frequencies which our brain is programmed for, and our body is programmed with the same frequencies. Now, if you are eating this food, you are getting the same frequency into your body. It comes very close to your cellular structure. Your gene responds to it, and it doesn't change the oscillation, because those are the same frequencies which we are getting when we are walking through the nature, when we are being hit by radiation from planets, from sun, from our planet Earth. Those are the same frequency. They are frequency of creation. So what happens when you take a food and you heat it up? Well, I spoke about it before briefly. It changes. Doesn't matter if it is meat or if it is plant. It will change the taste, consistency. How is it possible? Because it has changed on chemical level. What does that mean? Well, in quantum field, this means it has changed its frequency. So different frequency now is registered by the brain, and brain is projecting it to us with anticipated results according to its primary programming. So we will smell it. It will have different smell. It will be different when you chew it. Usually meat becomes dry and mealy. And on plants, what this does, this ruptures the membrane that covers carbohydrate, because carbohydrate in nature is not readily available for animal consumption. And all the carbohydrate is always packed in a membrane of cellulose. And for that particular purpose or reason, no animal, not including here, we are including also the herbivores or humans, we don't have enzyme to break this. So you take banana, you eat banana, and it just passes your system. You cannot absorb anything. And if you're in nature, wherever you poop, here grow another banana, because the seed is there and the food for the seed is remaining there. Here we come to the first lie that is being told and repeated to us by doctors and especially nutritionists, because their knowledge comes from the same books. And in these books, every food is treated like it is processed and cooked food. Everything. So even banana, when they tell you banana contains this much carbohydrates, this much fructose, this much cellulose, this much fiber, whatever, potassium and whatever, it is based on breakdown point analysis. But when you are eating a raw banana, the carbohydrate, the sugars, are inside of the cellulose membranes, inside of the cells. So you eat it, you cannot break it by chewing, you don't have enzymes for it, and it just leaves your body. Now you may say, baloney, because nobody ever talks about it this way. Well, I did experiments on this, okay? And you can do it too. Simple. Buy a bunch of bananas and try eating nothing but bananas. If they are nutritive, if they bring you nutrition, they should sustain you. And you will notice that you are going to be losing weight like crazy, like if you are not eating anything, because there is zero nutrition coming into your body. Zero. Everything is pure cellulose, which you don't digest and goes out. Now, many nutritionists will tell you, well, darling, you are heavy, you cannot have bananas, or you are diabetic, you cannot have bananas, too much sugar. Well, there is some sugar, there is a little bit fructose, it's laced with fructose. Since fructose is sweet, then we think that that's a lot of sugar. Well, it is, but not, without you having access to it, unless you fry the banana or cook it, heat it up over 55 Celsius to burst the cellulose. Same like when you make popcorn. If you eat just grains of corn, you will just defecate them the way as you ate them. If you heat them up, they explode, the cellulose explodes, and now the white stuff, this is your glucose. And it will nourish you. But by nourishing you, it is changing the whole body on genetic level. There are so many changes that I don't even want to talk about them in this video, because the video will be too long. I'll make another video especially on glucose and what it does in our body. Now, as we are talking about diets, all diets are based on basically lies. Even the Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is saying that we have many different digestive types. Okay, so that one human digests one way, another human may not digest the same way. It all depends also on type of a blood that you have, and basically that certain digestive types should have more carbohydrate, certain less carbohydrate, and this is based on how people feel. Well, I told you that genetic system is necessary to save your life when you make mistakes, because it will adjust to the environment. So when you want to know what is the normal environment in a body, stop eating. Don't eat. And what will happen? Your cells will wait for sugar, because you are glucoholic. You have transformed your body to start utilizing a sugar, and it cannot work on two different sources of fuels adequately. It will always work better on one than on the other. So if you program it on glucose, because you eat glucose daily, then it will work very poorly on fats, because simply there will be not enough mitochondria available to process those fats. Well, you will not have enough energy coming from there, so you are dependent. You become dependent on glucose. And if you are dependent on glucose, when you stop eating, well, glucose is not coming. You may be chubby, so there should be enough food for your cells, but all of a sudden you are going into hypoglycemia, because your cells are, since they are left 5 hours, 4 hours without any access to a sugar, they are very low on energy and they go in panic mode. They produce their own steroid, they tap into your glycogen, and when they deplete glycogen, you are in hypoglycemia. This doesn't happen to me. I can never go to hypoglycemia unless I'm in a stress situation. So, average Joe Schmo, when they start dieting, they feel terrible. Then cells, since they wait 24 hours, they see sugar is not coming. Okay, so they start reactivating more mitochondria, and you start working better and feeling better, even that you haven't been eating. You feel more powerful. Third day, you feel great. After that, you don't even feel any difference as far as energy goes. You feel energetic, ready to do the work. Yeah, you are hungry because you are used to have stomach full, and now you have stomach empty. So this is your brain talking more than anything else. But if you are chubby, your cells now have plenty of food. They restarted all the mitochondria that they suppressed before, and now you are producing enough energy. And everybody, doesn't matter if you are fruitarian, vegetarian, omnivore, carnivore, whatever you want to say, you feel great when you are not eating, when you get used to it, because your body works on optimal level. Now, after it has used your fat, it will start using your muscles. If you want to prevent loss of the muscles, but you want to stay in this perfect state of metabolism, which doctors call ketosis, then continue eating fats, animal fats. And it will be like you are supplying your own fat to the body, to your cells. Body will not have to do any readjustments. So if you want to break 20-day fast, if you ask again the experts, they will tell you, well, you have to break it slowly, small amount of food, a little bit carbohydrate, little soup, da-da-da. Why? Because now you have to again adjust the body to the toxic food that you are going to start bringing into it. But if you break the diet with the correct food, you can eat half kilo right of a bat, and I did it. I took a big chunk of fish, raw fish, and just like a sashimi, I just sliced it, and with the salt and lemon, and ate it. I filled my stomach. I felt great. There was no problem, and I had fasted 24 days prior to this. So, again, we cannot trust anything that is written or what somebody says. Don't trust me either. Do it. You want to know for sure? Do it. And you will see. But you cannot do it oh, I'm going to stop eating today, or today, until today I was eating bread, pasta, and all this crap, and now, okay, tomorrow I'm switching only on meat now. Well, your body has to adjust. Every drastic change needs adjustment, because as soon as you change diet, you are now bringing different environment. Now even your gut flora has to change, and it will change accordingly, but it doesn't happen from one day to another. So yeah, you may feel a little tricky, okay, but there will not be a big problems unless you already have allergies, and eating plant-based food and not taking salt will bring you into a state of allergies. This is why we have more and more vegetarians and vegans, and we have more and more pronounced problems with allergies. So if you have allergy, if you have milk intolerance, because now you have changed your flora in your stomach, which cannot support now the milk, the proteins of lactose, of sugars. So what happens? Well, you get diarrhea. You cannot process it because your body is out of whack. But if you give it fasting is enough. After fasting, you can start drinking milk. You have no problem, because your gut, everything readjusts in the functioning properly. When you function properly, food of God will not affect you. And what is food of God? Food of God is anything that you can pick from the nature the way it comes, without manipulating, without heating, without processing. Eat it and it will nourish you. So, can you do that with beans? You can. Can you do it with yuca? You can. Can you do it with potatoes? You can. Can you do it with bananas? You can. Fruits? You can. They will not nourish you, and they will sit very heavily on your stomach. On the other hand, can you do it with a heavily cooked egg? Well, not really, because heat will coagulate protein. When protein coagulates, it unravels and lets water out and compacts. Everybody knows when you cook meat, it shrinks because it has coagulated, it has let off water. You kill the enzyme so it cannot self-digest, and your enzyme cannot penetrate, because from meat you created a letter. Nothing goes in. So you have problems. Of course, it's not healthy to eat heavily cooked or charred cold meat. But if you ask our experts, well, if you have a meat, you have to make sure you cook it well, because otherwise you cannot digest it, or it will poison you with bacteria. That's a baloney. If the animal, before it was slaughtered for food, was sick, would not be used for food. If it was not sick, it does not have bacteria. Okay, so we are being fed nonsense, and it's being repeated even through our doctors, which, I'm not surprised, because we are brainwashed the most. So, if you want to eat food of God, you cannot survive on anything else but on the type of nutrients which you can process. Since you cannot process cellulose, plants are out. Fruits are out. The only thing you can process, basically, is animal products. Same like carnivore. So if you look at omnivores in a nature, like bear, for example, what do they eat? Anything that moves. From big worms in logs to a nest of rats, if they can find it, and then going up in the size of animals that they can catch. Even fish, whatever they can catch. Bigger the animal, bigger will be the prey. We can kill elephants, so we can eat anything that moves. And here in jungle, people eat those big worms. They are full of fat. That whole worm that comes from the coconut tree, from the heart of cocoa, this huge worm, this is pure fat. You squeeze it and it's just full fat coming out. There's a lot of very nutritive. Insects are based on nutrition of nature, of animals, of course. So everybody who thinks that we were first created as vegetarians, well, where is this nonsense coming from? From some religion or from some lost mind? There is no basis on it anywhere, because we are not, there is no animal except herbivores that can use greens. But remember, greens, they don't eat carbohydrates. You will not see cow or goat eating potatoes, raw potatoes. They don't do it. They just eat the greens. And of course there is not much nutrition there, because number one, they cannot digest it either, so it depends on their microflora in the rumen, which is a separate part of the stomach, where the fermentation goes. So a lot of people say, oh, so what if we eat fermented food? Well, yeah, you can eat fermented food, but you know how much of it you need to eat to give you enough energy to walk? Forget about doing anything else, just to take a little walk. You cannot use it as a supplement. You cannot use it as a basic food. It's impossible. You would have to have stomach like a cow to be able to do that and eat constantly. So these things are out of question. Just everybody who knows a little bit about digestion will understand what I'm talking about. Only airheads who thinks that Hare Krishna is the answer to everything, they have their own opinions, but there's no truth in it. And I have more and more clients who are long-term vegetarians who have now health problems. Yeah, people say, oh, I'm 5 years, 10 years, 15 years vegetarian, I'm 10-year vegan. Well, if you're 10-year vegan, you are skinny. And you are on a way of getting many chronic problems, and they all happen in one shot because you are not allowing your cellular cleansing. So you are becoming very dehydrated on a cellular level, and this is going to show up. Okay, you feel okay because you are not eating a lot of other poisons, but in no way you can be healthy. It's not only vitamin B12 and intrinsic factor that you need from eating the protein itself, animal-based protein, so you can have benefit of these vitamins. It is overall working of the body, and number one is preventing the forbidden fruit to go into our body, and this is the dietary glucose. And about dietary glucose, I'm going to talk separately, just dietary glucose, because there is so much damage happening in our body that it has to be addressed separately. So I don't want to keep this video too long. Just think a little bit about it. If you want, make your own investigation. Make your own experiment. Forget about investigating by reading. You will find all kinds of nonsense, and you will always find somebody that will write about the food or any issue the way you like to hear it, and then you will say, you see? But this is not the science, and this is not true. To know the truth, you have to observe, number one, nature, because we are lost for so many years that we don't even have any idea what is the right way. So we are omnivores. Look at omnivores in the nature, what they do, and then think about it, how it all works, and what one has to do with the other. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And soon I'll talk about glucose. This will be eye-opener. Okay, love you all. Bye.